Hey guys, this is Eric Johnson. I want to talk about tips for anxiety that you might be having with your sobriety. So, I've been sober for over 10 years and I have some techniques that I've used to stay sober even without AA. So, stay till the very end of this video. I'm going to talk about what I did, and it's kind of controversial what I did. It's not in a handbook anywhere what I did, so I want to just tell you what I did, and you can discern if it's right for you or not. The first thing that I did when I got sober was I just cut off all ties to old drinking buddies. I didn't go to places that reminded me of drinking, and I just put my nose down to the grindstone, picked up a second job, and just dove into my work. I lived in a small town, so I was basically the town drunk, and every place reminded me of alcohol or being blacked out or being embarrassed or falling down drunk. It was just not a good place to live. Only 10,000, population. So I the other thing I had to do right away was I had to slowly start eating food again, because most people, when they're really hitting the booze hard, they don't eat anymore. Their diaphragm gets swollen, okay? And it's very uncomfortable to eat. I couldn't hold food down because a year before I quit drinking, I decided brilliantly to stop eating because it was ruining my buzz. I didn't have a lot of money. I was drinking this crappy 10% alcohol malt liquor, and I didn't have a lot of it, so I was like, I'm not going to eat because I don't want to ruin my buzz. Well, a couple months of doing that, my brain is starving, I'm dying, I'm passing out literally standing up because my brain's not getting any nutrients. My vision is blurry. And so what I had to do was slowly start eating again. And then I picked up a second job. But I would just go to work and I would drive home right after work. And before coming home after work, I would get a treat from the store, like M&Ms or something. That was my treat. I also still smoked cigarettes for 2 years of my sobriety. So I would look forward to my after work cigarette. I didn't smoke at work. So I would wait until I got off and wait until I got home, and I would drink tea and I would smoke a cigarette and eat my peanut M&Ms. That was my little treat, because alcohol is mainly sugar. So when you come off of sugar, cold turkey, almost cold turkey like I did. I mean, the last day I drank, I only had 2 beers left, and I nursed those all day long almost, and then I knew it was over. I hit bottom, and I knew that was it. That was the last time I was going to drink, and I was tired of all the relapses and going back and forth, and I knew in my heart I was done. And I still relapsed a couple times. The first year in sobriety or second year in sobriety, I had 2 slip-ups where I drank for 2 days, and then I was like, no, I'm not revisiting this, I'm done. So I looked forward to my peanut M&Ms, and I looked forward to my cigarette after work. Eventually, I quit cigarettes, and that was pretty scary. Then again, I used the peanut M&Ms for that, and I drank tea or coffee instead of having a cigarette. So I dove into my work, and I got rid of the biggest addiction first, and then I whittled away at my cigarette addiction. I also had a little bit of Xanax left over from my heart attack that I had, 4 years earlier. So, I had a Xanax pill, but that was only like the first month of sobriety. And then I ran out, and I wasn't addicted to Xanax, so I was just like, okay, that's out. And I just whittled away at all my addictions. Even porn and sugar had to go, and rocking back and forth, which is something I'd been doing since I was 2, that had to go. But, I just had to do those things one at a time, and eventually I got self-confidence. I joined a gym. I started doing things that I missed doing when I was a drunk. I started playing racquetball again. I started listening to music again. I started playing drums. I started to write. I started blogging. So all of these creative juices started coming back after alcohol. So I embraced them. Plus, I made more money than ever because now I'm completely sober and I dove into my work. And I was single for the first 2 years of sobriety. I needed to just dive into who I was. I needed to just get rid of all the distractions and start over and get to the core of my issues. Why did I start drinking in the first place? So I started to try to answer that question. I started reading about, counseling and different techniques. I discovered CBD oil. And CBD oil is great for smoothing out the edges. If you're coming off of alcohol and you're all nervous and antsy, I definitely look into CBD oil. I'll leave a link under this video. You can check out what I use. I definitely use the strongest CBD oil available, full spectrum CBD oil. But can you see a trend here? I'm actually, that's the controversial thing about my recovery is I switched addictions until I worked on those addictions, the lesser of two evils, and then eventually I got rid of all the addictions. But the first one I wanted to tackle was my alcohol. And of course, I had a lot of anxiety, and that's why I joined a gym. And the best thing about a gym is after the workout, you can treat yourself to a hot tub or a sauna. I love the sauna. I did the sauna before I started drinking heavily. It just cleanses your whole body, washes out the toxins. It makes your skin nice. You can actually age backwards and melt off that excess fat. And then when you come out 20 minutes later from the sauna, you feel so relaxed. You don't want to drink at all, You're getting all these natural feel-good dopamine endorphins from the workout. So you might have to replace your addictions with working out. You might have to dive into your job. You might want to look into the creative stuff you did before you drank. If you were into fly fishing before you became a drunk, look into that again, And then eventually you'll find friends. But I would really just try to do this without having a lot of noise, okay? You're probably going to have to get rid of your old friends. Especially your drinking friends. They don't really care about your sobriety. They'll pretend that they do, but they'll start getting lonely because misery loves company, and they'll start trying to sneak it in there in their conversation, like, do you miss drinking? You wanna try drinking again? And it's just lies, guys. I mean, you have to do this on your own. It's life or death. If you want to live, you have to get rid of all those people, the places that remind you of drinking, people, places, things. You have to change all of that up. So 2 years into my sobriety, I got a new girlfriend. She didn't drink. She didn't know my past. She was from another town. We got together, and she was an energy healer. So she taught me about meditation and ayahuasca. And we went to Peru and did ayahuasca. And I just wanted to find myself. And spirituality was really cool for that. And then we moved out of that town. So I got the new girl, and I moved away from that old town. And that town sucked because everywhere I looked, there was a reminder of my drinking and the destruction I left behind. So you definitely have to change everything. Maybe your job, all of your friends, and even where you live. Ideally, if you live in a big city, you could just move to the other side of town. But you have to start over. And if you want, check out AA. At least check out the 12 steps of AA. You can look that up online and see what they go through, because it is a spiritual process, and you have to admit that you're powerless over alcohol. And then you have to turn your will and your life over to the care of God as you understood Him or understand it, whatever you believe is a higher power. But you have to get your head around a higher power, because left to your own will and your own devices and vices, you're going to get in trouble. That's why you're here in the first place, because you're stinking thinking, and your will and you in the driver's seat of your life got you to where you are. So you have to admit that you're powerless over the alcohol. That's step number one. Then you got to turn your will over to the care of God as you understood Him, okay? So I would start looking into getting close to God again, or Jesus. You know, a lot of people are very angry at God when they get sober. But you gotta take accountability for what you did. You know, no one forced you to drink and drive. No one forced you to hit that person. You know, no one forced you to speed. You know, you got to take accountability, and once you do that, you can start to grow again, and you can wipe the slate clean and start all over. It's okay. Don't worry about your pride and your ego. You're gonna have to put those things aside and humble yourself, and humiliation is actually very key in sobriety. You have to admit your wrongs, and that's fine. And then you're gonna have to make amends to all the people that you hurt. But I had fun with that. You know, I was ready. I was like, hey, I want to tell you, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I yelled at you. And most people that I made amends to, they didn't even remember, or they pretended they didn't even remember what happened. They're like, dude, forget about it. You know, I don't even remember that. You know, you're cool. I like you. So that's pretty much how I got rid of the anxiety. I basically dove into work, and I dove into my workouts. I changed my diet. I stopped fast food and junk from the 24/7 stores, and started eating really, whole foods and organic vegetables and salmon and chicken, and I started taking CBD oil, and I would drink chamomile tea at night. I had discovered kava and GABA. Those are good supplements. But, I had a lot of anxiety. I was very nervous, and so I started to jog. I would play racquetball. I played racquetball with these kids from recovery. They all went to the same gym that I did, so I would play, up to 15 games with 3 to 5 different guys from this recovery center. And it was really cool because I bonded with guys because I didn't have friends anymore. So when I started hanging out with these sober guys, it was really cool, But I was still a loner. I still liked being home alone. I was an introvert. And if I got lonely, I could always just create videos like this and start attracting people that have like-minded interest to me, like right now. So if you're lonely, start creating content. Maybe you want to help others get sober. That's a good thing to look into. You could become a drug and alcohol counselor. Go to community college online and get your certificate to be a drug and alcohol counselor. Help others. The only reason I'm still alive after surviving a heart attack and drinking hundreds of times, nearly dying from tons of other things, the only reason I'm still here is to give back. Because alcoholics are the most self-centered people in the world, and 40 years of my life was a waste because I was just thinking about me. And yeah, it's not all of my fault. I was in fight or flight from my childhood. My dad was a rageaholic, and he scared me, and so when I discovered alcohol, it was a great escape. But in the end, alcohol was almost the killer. It was the lie. It was the big deceiver, okay? Sobriety is where it's at, and you'll pick up everything that you left in alcohol. You'll pick it back up, You'll get passion and compassion back, and you'll be interested in things again, and you'll have a light in your eyes, and maybe you'll attract sober people to you. And you'll start picking up your hobbies that you loved before alcohol took them. Alcohol almost destroyed all of my hobbies and my creativity, but I picked it up, and I was more creative than ever in sobriety. So, hope this helps. Click the subscribe button and check out the CBD oil under this video, and we'll talk to you soon.